Hey guys, what is up? Happy Thursday. Today is my birthday, so happy birthday to me, April 16th. This day in 1985 I was born, so that will tell you guys how old I am. You used to do the math yourselves, and maybe if I feel like it, I'll tell you at the end how old I actually am. I'm not going to be around much today because unfortunately, even though it was my birthday, I've taken care of some really sad stuff in terms of that family issue I missed time with last week. I have to do something else with that today, so I will not be around a whole lot. But if you have any questions, please feel free to post them on the stream or on the assignments or anything like that, because I will be checking it a couple of times throughout the day, probably later on in the day for you, okay? But before we go any further with that kind of stuff, we are starting Colonial Voices today, and yesterday you guys got a little bit of a preview of the cover, the back cover, parts of the inside. But today we are actually going to do some reading together, and I will be posting the pictures of the pages because I figured out an easy way to do it. There's a Google Classroom app that I was unaware of, and every day I was taking pictures and sending them, emailing them to myself, and then trying to post them. I just take the picture on my phone, the apps on my phone, boom, they go right in. And hopefully yesterday it all worked out for you guys in terms of doing the noticing and wondering. For those of you who have submitted it, I've seen about 12 of them so far, and they looked okay. But we have today's focus question, which is, how did people's experiences affect their perspectives on the American Revolution? And then we have our content framing question, what is happening in the first half of Colonial Voices, okay? And we see that word perspectives again, and perspective is really someone's point of view. And we talked yesterday at the end of the video about how your perspective and your point of view affects your opinion, which takes us to our craft question, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Why is opinion writing important, okay? So today, I take this down. This is where I use this clip over here to post my notes while I make my charts. So I am taking notes. I'm doing all the things I would normally do before I make charts. I'm not just winging this. For those of you who might think I'm just making these silly videos, but they're not silly because they're your lessons, and this is exactly what I'd be saying if we were in school, okay? Except I'd probably be calling on you guys a little bit more and asking a little bit harder questions. But that's unfortunately the situation that we are in. But today, Colonial Voices Part 1. And there's one vocabulary word. We've had a lot of vocabulary words as we've gone through these texts and this unit. And I hope that by me explaining them, it makes what you're doing a little bit easier, okay? So today's word is monologue, which is a speech by one person in a play or movie. And I'm not talking like whenever a character speaks, but I'm talking about whenever a character gives a long piece, like usually 2 to 5 minutes of just like that one person speaking. And for me, I always think of my favorite movie, Jaws. There's an awesome monologue where the captain of the boat, Quint, gives this monologue or tells this story in the movie about how he was in the US Navy and his boat was attacked and the boat sank, and it's based off a true story, but it's an adaptation for the movie, and it's an awesome monologue. I'm sure if you guys were to YouTube it, that's a good one. And there are so many monologues that you can find. Actually, if you watch like the Tonight shows like Jimmy Fallon, Jim Kimmel, or anybody like that, their opening thing when they first come out and they talk, that is their monologue, because it's just them talking for the extended period of time, okay? And I wanted to bring that word up because it's on your classwork sheet today. You're going to be doing sheet 10A, which is basically asking you guys to just kind of summarize what we read today, but in individual questions forms. And one of the words in the question is monologue. But now that you know what a monologue is, a speech by a person, you will be able to answer that question fully. And it's interesting because monologues are said by one person. And it applies to this story because each page is about a different colonial person, okay? And I don't want to say characters because they're not necessarily characters, that they don't interact with each other, but they're just colonists that are in Boston, okay? So we took a look at the cover yesterday, and I'm going to tell you right now that boy's name is Ethan, if you guys didn't see that yesterday. And we're going to focus right now on this page. And you guys saw this page yesterday, okay? And it says Boston 1773 and Ethan's route. Now, a route is the path that you take to go somewhere. And back when my dad was a kid, he had a paper route. He would deliver newspapers from house to house to house. Well, that's Ethan's job as a messenger boy, is that he has to hit all these spots on his route by a certain time. And so you'll see that it starts off that the errand boy picks up the stuff at 5:30, then at the printer at 6 a.m., then he's at the baker at 6:15, then the dame school at 7:15, and the list goes on and on and on all the way down. And we have the shoemaker, the milliner, the basket trader, the tavern owner, the midwife, the barber / wig maker, the blacksmith, the clockmaster, the silversmith, the Old South, Griffin's Wharf, and the State House. So he is basically leaving his house at 5:30 in the morning, and then his last drop-off is at 9 o'clock at night. So we're going to see how that works out for our buddy Ethan. And this over here is kind of a map of Boston with all the places that he has to go along the way. Okay? So, as we go along today, I'm going to keep track of the colonists that we meet, and this way you guys know exactly what page to read up to today as well, okay? So, here we are, the errand boy, okay? Today is December 16th of 1773. Boston is about to explode. I'm Ethan, paperboy for the printer. Messenger, woodchopper, runner of errands. My mother died when I was born. My father drowned at sea. Now I sleep above the print shop. Live with my wits. No one times my comings and goings. Errand boys, like servants, are almost invisible. It's a good cloak to wear. I keep my eyes and ears alert, and troubles brewing. So basically what he's saying is that he lives above the print shop and he keeps his wits, okay? Which basically is he's making sure he's tuned into everything that's going on around him so that he can get as much information as he can, which is why he's saying that Boston is about to explode. And he says that no one keeps track of his comings and goings because he has no mother, no father. They've both passed away. So he kind of lives above the print shop and works for the printer as kind of like his service, like to pay his rent, kind of. Okay? The Dartmouth, the Eleanor, the Beaver, crammed with tea, wait at Griffin's Wharf. Will King George and Parliament have their way? Will their custom men collect the tax? Will the tea company say who sells the tea? Let them try. The Sons of Liberty are counting on me. Off I go to slip in and out of shops and houses. Share the notice about the final meeting at Old South Pass, the secret to the Patriots. And listen to the tittle-tattle from the Loyalists. Midnight is the deadline, when tea must go or be taxed. What will happen now? So basically, he says he has to get to all these people throughout Boston, the Sons of Liberty, to see exactly what their plan of action is going to be against the British, okay? So we had talked earlier about the different taxes the British put on the colonists, and this is one example, the tea tax, okay? And what he's saying is that there's 3 ships filled with tea sitting down at the wharf, which is kind of like saying the harbor, that have a bunch of tea on them, and the tea either needs to go or it's going to be sold to them and taxed by the British, so they have to figure out what they're going to do. The printer. So now this is the monologue, because the first page was the errand boy, so this is Ethan speaking. Now as we go to this page, the printer, it's going to be the printer speaking. I am the printer. My job is to keep folks informed. I write, edit, and compose and type, operate the press. When my husband and I opened our small shop, news of the king's birthday, missing cows, runaway slaves filled our paper. How times have changed. I am a widow now, which means her husband passed away. But I keep the press rolling. First, Parliament passed the Stamp Act. Then the British soldiers occupied our town. Citizens were shot. I told each tale. So basically, she's reported on everything that the British have done that has been hurtful to the colonists, okay? So you're kind of seeing her life experiences and her perspective affecting her opinion of the British. Now Parliament and King George III have done it again. The terrible Tea Act. Taxes to pay without any say. So it's essentially saying no taxation without representation. Unfair, cry the patriots. But what do the loyalists want, and those who are in between? I've done my part. Published the paper. Printed the notice of today's meeting. Governor Hutchinson is the one who must decide whether the tea ships stay or go. What will the governor do? And you can see here that there she is out the window after she's given the letters to Ethan. So now Ethan is the messenger boy who gets the papers that he needs to distribute from the printer. And so they're kind of working together. We're going to see if that's a theme throughout the thing, if everyone keeps working together. Now we get to the baker. The baker. The big brick oven heats their room until we swelter but bake the bread with thickened crusts the townfolk crave. I sift flour into a wooden trough and stir the batch. My apprentice kneads 100 pounds with burly arms and practiced hands. Slowly the dough bubbles and rises. Like liberty, I say. Here's Ethan making his rounds. He hands me a notice and shares the secret from the Sons of Liberty. King George may be surprised by what we do. Wink. And I give the boy a loaf to feed him on his way. So basically, Ethan brings the notice to the baker, and the baker says, hey kid, here's some bread for you. You're gonna have a long day delivering these notices. The apprentice sweeps the ashes from the oven floor. I slide new loaves in on my wooden peel, shut the iron door, close the damper. As darkness fades from morning sky, a yeasty smell perfumes the air. A new day, fresh bread for sale. Okay, so basically it's giving the perspective, and he doesn't really give much. He has one line in there that kind of gives us his opinion and his perspective. I wonder if you guys can catch it when you read. Maybe I'll make that like a bonus question. So I'm gonna show you guys the next couple pages I want you to read, and I'm gonna upload them. So you're gonna do the Dame School on your own. You're gonna do the Shoemaker on your own. And you're gonna do the Milliner on your own, okay? And that's where you guys are gonna stop for today. I think that should allow you to answer the questions. You know what? Do the basket trader also, okay? So I will fold down the page there at the basket trader. So you guys are gonna be reading the pages that I didn't read on your own, and then you're gonna be answering all the stuff on sheet 10A. But let me write this down really quickly. The people that we have met, we have the errand boy, who we know is Ethan. And Ethan's going to be kind of like the main focus of the story, because he's going to be the one that's going to all these different people. Then after Ethan the errand boy, we have the printer. Then we have the baker. Okay. And then the ones that you guys are going to be responsible for are going to be the mistress of the Dame School. So basically the mistress just means that she's the head of the school. And then you are going to have to do the shoemaker, the milliner, And now all those might look familiar, except for a milliner. And a milliner is a person who makes fabrics, okay, and explains that to you right there in the text. So those are the 4 you're doing on your own. It might seem like, oh my gosh, we do 4 different, it's 4 pages and it's not even full pages of text. So you guys are more than capable of doing that on your own. I do look forward to looking at your questions, the answers to your questions, I should say, and I'll be back tomorrow, even though I'm going to record that video right after this for Friday. But yeah, so I will try to set up a meeting with you guys on Friday also, okay? So until then, see you guys. Happy birthday, Xavier. Bye.